Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another monthly roundup where I talk about the CDs that I picked up in the previous month. We're in September, so that means these are my August CD finds. Now, I have a bunch more than normal because in the month of August, I was fortunate enough to drive down to North Carolina to visit my buddy Tommy. Hey, Tommy, from Tommy's Musical Adventures. I'll put his channel below. Met up with Tommy, another buddy of his named Ross from Mississippi. And then we also got to meet up for a day with Beatle Brad, whose channel I will also have below, with a video that he made regarding the weekend that we had together. We went for a record crawl and we hit up a bunch of record stores in Charlotte, North Carolina. So it accumulated into quite a few finds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first show the CDs that I picked up from the record crawl and then move into just the stuff that came in throughout the month. I'm just going to kind of run through these. A lot of great fillers for my collection that I needed. Start with a couple of Van Morrison's. This is Down the Road from 2002. It's very harkens back to a lot of 50s music. Some great stuff on here, including the song The Beauty of the Days Gone By, as well as a great cover of Georgia on My Mind, the Ray Charles tune. I also picked up Poetic Champions Compose. The big song on this was Someone Like You. Queen of the Slipstream, Did You Get Healed? Those are all fairly, popular in the Van Morrison world. This is from 1987. Didn't have it on CD, so I'm happy to have that. I also got What's Wrong with This Picture for $3. This is on Blue Note. This is from 2003. I have yet to listen to this one yet, but I am sure it's going to be good. Van Morrison always has at least a track or two that I enjoy. And this is an album that he did with Georgie Fame and friends called How Long Has This Been Going On? Of course, Georgie Fame was a big name in the skiffle world. They do songs on here like the New Symphony Sid, a version of Moondance, All Saints Day, From Hymns to the Silence, That's Life. This is also from 1995, so this is just before the album The Healing Game. So I'm happy to have that. I also had a couple of Paul Simon fillers that I didn't have. This is You're the One from 2000. Great song on here. Darling Lorraine is beautiful. Let's see. Hurricane Eye, Pig, Sheep, and Wolves is really cool. Really happy to have that. And then again, this album, I have yet to listen to it. Actually, I bought it still sealed. This is Surprise, which I think was universally not liked by critics, from 2006. There's some stuff, Andy Smith has his name on here, Brian Eno. The big song on here was Father and Daughter, which was in a Nickelodeon movie called The Traveling Thornberrys. Another song was How Can You Live in the Northeast? And Outrageous, beautiful also, but still sealed. Very happy to have it, though. I like Paul Simon a lot. I also got two Johnny Cash pieces, both from the American sessions. This is the first album, The American Recordings, from 1994, the year I was born. Great stuff on here. You have Delia's Gone, Oh Bury Me Not, Bird on a Wire, Tennessee Stud, The Beast in Me, Redemption, The Man Who Couldn't Cry, obviously produced by Rick Rubin on the American label. Fantastic stuff. This is the album Unchained. The backing band on this are Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and Tom Petty once said that this was the best album the Heartbreakers ever made because it was out of their wheelhouse and they had to learn to play for Johnny Cash. This is from 1996. Great stuff on here, including a version of Southern Accents by Tom Petty, beautiful version. A great harmony vocal from Tom on the song The Kneeling Drunkard's Plea. He also does Memories Are Made of This, Sea of Heartbreak, Rusty Cage, the Nine Inch Nails song, the Soundgarden song, and then his very popular version of I've Been Everywhere. You've got to have it. It's fantastic. It rocks. So that's all the CDs that I got from the record crawl. So here's some other things that I've got. I've been trying to round out my Eagles collection, so I got their last release live from the Forum from 2018. This is the lineup that includes Don Henley, Joe Walsh, Timothy Schmidt, as well as Vince Gill and Deacon Fry, who is Glenn Fry's son, who's about my age. And they do all the stuff on here. It's, it's pitch perfect, note perfect. They do all the stuff. They do, there's some commentary in here from everybody. they do some of the deeper cuts. They do How Long from Long Road Out of Eden. They do Old 55. They also do Walk Away, Those Shoes. So really, really good stuff. It's a nice listen. There's also a version with the DVD that I did not need, so I didn't get it. Got a couple of Jason Isbell releases because I saw Jason Isbell last month and was really on a Jason Isbell kick. This is Jason Isbell in the 400 unit, the Nashville Sound, produced by Dave Cobb, who's all over a lot of these alt country records. Last of My Kind is beautiful. Tupelo is great. White Man's World, Cumberland Gap. Really, really great country rock album. Jason Isbell, fantastic. Then this is a record called Georgia Blue. It is a covers album that he put out in 2021. It was related to the presidential election, and was saying, if Georgia, the state of Georgia, voted toward the Democratic Party, he would put out a record showcasing songs about Georgia and showcasing Georgia artists. So he does Night Swimming and Driver 8, both by R.E.M., the former being with Bela Fleck and Chris Thile. Driver 8, he has John Paul White of the Civil Wars. He also does stuff like It's a Man's World with Brittany Spencer, I've Been Loving You Too Long, Kid Fears with Julian Baker and Brandy Carlisle, Midnight Train to Georgia with Brittany Spencer and John Paul Wright. He does a 12-minute version of The Allman Brothers in memory of Elizabeth Reed. So there's a lot of guests on here. About half of the songs are sung by Isbell, the other half he just backs up other artists. And then this album, I've listened to it, but I haven't taken this one out of the shrink. This is Reunions. This was the COVID album that he put out with the 400 unit. Songs on here like St. Peter's Autographed, Dreamsicle, Only Children, good stuff. I picked this up. This was a filler for me to get for Tom Petty, my Tom Petty collection. This is Mudcrutch Live, the extended play. This is from the first album. So they do 3 songs from the Mudcrutch album: The Wrong Thing to Do, Bootleg Flyer, and Crystal River. And then they also do a version of High School Confidential, which is a Jerry Lee Lewis track. There are the boys looking really cool. Unfortunately, we have lost Tom Petty and Tom Ledden there. So great, great document of their touring. And I also received this from my dad. This is called Have Yourself a Swingin' Little Christmas, Volume 2, I believe. Yeah, so this is Volume 1, excuse me. He got me the second version by accident. He ordered me something last year, and they sent the wrong piece, and they told him to keep it. So he ended up just giving me that. And then he got 2 of these as well earlier last month and got me a copy, so now I have both volumes. It has some lesser known stuff on here, lesser known Christmas songs by Fats Waller, Thelma Cooper, Andrew Sisters, Johnny Mercer, K-Star, Louis Armstrong. So really, really cool. I haven't listened to it yet. I'm going to wait until a little bit closer to the season. I picked up For Emma, Forever Ago by Bon Iver. This is his breakthrough debut, I believe, from 2008. This has the song Skinny Love on it. It's a pretty good album. It's I think I'm going to need to listen to it a couple more times. A lot of it is very similar. From what I understand, he recorded this in a cabin, in the wintertime. And so you can see the cover there is a window covered in snow. So really folky, kind of basic album. I also picked up Transatlanticism by Death Cab for Cutie for a couple of bucks at a Barnes & Noble. I believe this is coming out on 20th anniversary vinyl, which I've also ordered. It's not out yet, but great song, kind of a concept album about long-distance relationship. Of course, Ben Gibbard is the principal songwriter. Some great songs on here: The New Year, Title and Registration, Tiny Vessels, Transatlanticism, Passenger Seat, Lack of Color. Really, really good, kind of an emo, indie folk album. And then lastly, 2 new releases. This is Van Morrison's latest, called Beyond Words Instrumental. This kind of had some confusion around it when it was announced. It just came out on his website. It wasn't available anywhere else, so you couldn't find this like at Target or Amazon. It's a conglomeration of a bunch of instrumental tracks that he recorded from the 70s up until the present day, none of which have been released. And I always, it's funny, I was always thinking that Van should put out an instrumental album, or even like a comp of all of his instrumental pieces, because a lot of his albums have instrumental kind of jazz, new age kind of music to it. So some really great stuff on here. Some stuff that's kind of like, it's not, a masterpiece by any means, but it's kind of a nice little background piece if you want some nice saxophone music, some nice jazz, maybe a little bit of scatting, especially on the first song, Beyond Words, which is obviously from the 70s. You can tell from his vocals. But other than that, there's no other vocal on the album. So Van Morrison, Beyond Words. And lastly, another album that's going to be a contender for Album of the Year. This is Jubilee by the Old Crow Medicine Show. This is in relation to their 25th anniversary. They have artists on here like Sierra Farrell, Willie Watson, who's a former member of Old Crow, who's an original member, and then the last track called One Drop. It's a really, really cool kind of gospel-y, civil rights type song that they sing with Mavis Staples. Really, really cool song, and really, 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 really fun. Like I said, it's in relation to their 25th anniversary. There are the guys in painted portrait style. This is also the last album to feature Jerry Pentecost on the drums, who left the band shortly after this album was recorded. So there you have it. There are my CDs, and I'm going to be turning this phone off for a second, gathering my vinyl, and I will be back with you shortly with my vinyl finds from August. So in the meantime, y'all be good, take care, subscribe, and we'll talk to you really soon on the next one. Bye now.